Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be testing the Legion Go and the ROG Ally. So we have 4 different tests. This first test, we are using them both plugged in. Both are set to 60 Hz. As you can see on the bottom middle screen of this GTA 5 benchmark, you can see the FPS. So the Legion Go is about $650. I did pick it up on sale a while ago. ROG Ally was the same thing, it was about $400. So I'll put up specs of the CPU and the RAM speed and everything like that as we go along. In terms of settings, I do have both set to 1920 by 1080p for both. In terms of RAM usage, you can see that the Legion Go is using a little bit more RAM than the ROG Ally. Once again, we are running both at 60 Hz plugged in for this first test. Second test, they're going to be 60 Hz unplugged. And then we have a test 3 or 4 as well. So I thought GTA 5 benchmark would be a good test, even though it is an older game. So turbo mode is being used for the ROG Ally right now, and performance mode is being used for the Legion Go. But if you look at the FPS, mostly it's pretty similar right now. Let's see if there's going to be a difference when they're unplugged and stuff. Even RAM usage, we're using about 10.6 gigabytes of RAM right now for the Legion Go, versus about 10.1 gigabytes of RAM on the ROG Ally here. So let me put up the specs for the RAM as well. Both of them are using 16 gigabytes of RAM, but the Legion Go is using 7500 mega transfers per second, and then you got 6400 megahertz for the RAM speed of the ROG Ally. So they're measured in different speeds. I mean, that's what was showing in the task manager. So even dedicated GPU memory, 3 gigabytes on the Legion Go versus 4 gigabytes on the ROG Ally. 6.3 gigabyte shared GPU memory versus 5.9. So this first test is coming to an end soon, but throughout most of the video, I can see that the Legion Go is using more RAM than the ROG Ally. Keep in mind though, the Legion Go does have a bigger screen, 8.8 inches versus about 7 inches for the ROG Ally. And I also did want to mention that looking at the screen, I do like the quality of the Legion Go a lot better than the ROG Ally. I don't know, the ROG Ally seems a little washed out to me. We're definitely going to go over all the settings too, but I did try to match all the settings as best I could. You know, I tried to match every single thing. But yeah, for some reason, the Legion Go just seems like it has a better screen to me. So let's go to the second test. Both 60 Hz, both unplugged this time. Let's see if it makes a difference. And then we still have a test 3 and 4. Right now, FPS wise, it's around 2930, same thing as before. Only difference is it's unplugged. RAM usage looks like Legion Go is using a little bit less than the ROG Ally now that we're unplugged. So I find that a little bit interesting. Is it a big difference? Not really. I do have the settings FXAA and MSAA off for both. And looking at the FPS, they're pretty much the same, pretty much on point. Later though, for the third test, I switched the settings to max. So the Legion Go will be set to 144 Hz, and then the ROG Ally is 120 Hz. That's the best that the ROG Ally could do. So let's see here. VSync, I did set both of them to half as well. And let me know what you guys think about the screen too, because I don't know, I just like the Legion Go screen a lot better for some reason. The ROG Ally seems a little bit washed out. But yeah, this is interesting. Now that we're unplugged, it seems that the Legion Go is using less RAM than the ROG Ally. Is it a big difference? Not really. Oh yeah, let me put up the CPU and the other specs as well on the screen later. So I do have the CPU AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme with a base speed of 3.3 for the Legion Go. And then we have the Ryzen Z1 with a base speed of 3.20 gigahertz for the ROG Ally. So Legion Go, 1 socket 8 cores, ROG Ally 1 socket 6 cores. And like I mentioned before, GTA 5 is an older game, so you want to keep that in mind. Hey, look at that. Both of them are using 10.4 gigabytes of RAM at the same time right now. And don't forget about the speed, so there is a speed difference in terms of the RAM. CPU usage, looks like the Legion Go is using less of its CPU. And the GPU usage on the ROG Ally though, it's a lot higher than the Legion Go. VRAM, looks like Legion Go is using a lot more VRAM than the ROG Ally. Wow. Pretty interesting. So test number 3, both are plugged in. I did try to set the thing to max, so 120 hertz for the ROG Ally versus 144 hertz for the Legion Go. So let's take a look here if there's going to be a big FPS difference. So right off the bat, I can see a difference in terms of FPS. Legion Go was a little bit higher, around 70. Now it's kind of like equalizing. They're close to 60 now. And remember, they're both plugged in. I do have frame scaling mode turned off. And FPS wise, wow, it's about the same, 59, 60. Let's see how well it does as we go along. GPU usage, looks like we're using less GPU usage for the Legion Go compared to the ROG Ally. VRAM, we are looking at about 87% for the Legion Go versus about 70% on the ROG Ally here. Again, the Legion Go is using more RAM. It's using more of its RAM usage. Particle quality, I do have both of them set to normal as well. Both are still running at around 60 FPS, so that's pretty good. Like I mentioned earlier, the Legion Go has a bigger screen too, so we want to keep that in mind. And I don't know, I like how the Legion Go looks. For some reason, that ROG Ally looks a little washed out. So reflection, MSAA is turned off. Also, just letting everybody know, I did record each video separately. So I used my phone. I recorded like the Legion Go by itself, the ROG Ally by itself, just so that I could get a good focus on the camera. So right now, RAM usage, Legion Go 11.3 gigabytes versus 10.6 on the ROG Ally. Both are still running around 60 FPS. Actually, the ROG Ally is not a bad deal. Remember, this is the cheaper ROG Ally, the one that was about $400. You saw that wheel though? Look on the ROG Ally, kind of. Reflection quality is set to normal for both as well. What I really like about both handhelds, the CPU usage is pretty low most of the time for this benchmark test. So I kind of like it. Also, I'm definitely open to suggestions about tweaking the settings on the ROG Ally, just because of the screen here looks kind of different. Let's do our fourth and final test. Both are set to 120 Hz and 144 Hz. Both are going to be unplugged this time. So right off the bat, I'm seeing the Legion Go. It started off with a 70 FPS again, but then as you can see here, starting to drop. So Legion Go on battery power is around 70 FPS. ROG Ally around 60 FPS, pretty stable though. So let me see here. Yeah, CPU usage for both is actually pretty low, but Looks like the Legion Go definitely has a higher FPS. High resolution shadows are turned off for both. I mean, honestly, I can't complain with 60 FPS on the ROG Ally, especially for its price point. Water quality, I did set it to normal as well for both. And it looks like FPS dropped for the ROG Ally. It dropped to about 40, 50. Went back up to 60. Grass quality is set to normal as well for both. Both are running at about 60 FPS right now. Yep, both are still holding at 60 FPS. Soft shadows are both set to sharp. So like I really did try to make everything as the same as possible for this for the test today. But yeah, I would definitely be happy with running 120 hertz. For the Legion Go, I don't think you can do 120. I think it can be auto, or like you can do 144 or like 60 hertz. So here we are at the final stretch. RAM usage seems to be pretty high still for the Legion Go, which is good. Running at about 11.7 gigabytes. 10.8 gigabytes on the ROG Ally here. Both are about 59 FPS. And I think that's gonna be it. So thank you everybody for watching. Have a nice day.